Hi, Terry VanNoy. Welcome to Math Class with Terry V. Hope this video helps you out, and if you enjoy it, please share it, comment, or like it. And you can also go to my website, MathPowerLine.com. It's a math resource blog, lesson videos for students, and other resources for parents and teachers. Give me a call or go to my website or email. All right, let's go to today's lesson. This is problem set 3, continuing on with our topic of solving literal equations. And the goal is to rearrange an equation or a formula like this one in terms of one of the variables. Now this is an example of a formula that either could come from the world of science or finance or engineering or contracting. And it's a way to manipulate certain quantities of things that are measured and solve for different parts. Now in this case, we're going to solve for V2. All right, now notice obviously we got to find V2 and it's right there. And it's going to be multiplied by P2. Okay, so let's kind of look at these operations here. And then of course we have a division line there, so we're dividing it by T2 on the right and T1 on the left. So it's a combination of multiplication and division. So it's helpful to just kind of look at it and analyze what's going on. Now, if we want to eventually end up with V2 equal to something, we have to undo all these other operations, okay? So here's the strategy. Notice how we're dividing by T2. The opposite is multiplication, right? So if I multiply both sides by T2, then those will cancel, but don't forget to do it on the left. All right, also, if you are multiplying V2 by P2, let's go ahead and divide by P2. All right, and you'll notice the shortcut is to take what's being multiplied there and flip it over. Okay, in other words, we have P2 on the top, T2 on the bottom. Flip it over, that's the reciprocal, and basically the result is that those are all going to cancel out, leaving me with V2 on the other side. Now let's see what we've got over here. So it looks like we have T2 times P1 times V1 and P2 times T1 on the bottom. There's nothing to cancel out, and maybe it's a good idea to put it in alphabetical order. So I'm going to have my V2, I'm going to just kind of flip this to the other side, and I would have P1, T2, V1, all divided by P2 T1. Okay, now it looks like just a bunch of alphabet soup, but if you're an engineer, like I said, or a contractor or something, and maybe these are time periods or volumes or something that relates to those variables, it basically becomes a multiplication and division problem. But now we have isolated and solved for V2. All right, so that's an example of solving literal equations. Let's look at our next example. See if you can do this. S equals H over M times V1 minus V2. We want to solve for V1. All right, solve for V1. Well, let's kind of analyze what's going on. Here's V1, and it's inside these parentheses here. Should we multiply this out with the distributive property first? Well, actually, in this case, no. Let's try to get rid of the M there. All right, now how do you multiply, or how do you get rid of an M that's in the denominator of a fraction? You multiply it. All right, and if I multiply the right side by M, I have to multiply the left side by M. All right, so let's go ahead and write down what we have so far. And I'm going to flip this. No, I'll leave it the same. So M times S equals H over V1 minus V2. All right, how are we going to get that V1 isolated? Well, we need to get it out of the denominator of that fraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply both sides by V1 minus V2. All right, you can think of this down here in parentheses, and those would cancel out. And I have to multiply it over on this other side. v1 minus v2. All right, let's clean it up a little bit. A little more complicated than my previous example. On the right, I just have h. Everything else canceled out, right? So this is going to be ms or sm. Let's go ms in alphabetical order times each of those terms. So it's going to be v1 ms minus v2 ms. All right? Now, again, the goal, isolating v1. Well, let's go ahead and add this v2 term here. And remember that these are all just representing numbers. And a variable is just a convenient way of kind of putting something in a place to symbolize something. And when we know the value of that amount, we can plug it in and solve. So on the left, we have v1 times ms equals h plus v2 ms. Okay, a lot of algebra, just manipulation and learning the rules. So if we're going to isolate v1, we finish by dividing it by ms, m times s, and we have to do the same on the other side. So finally, after a lot of manipulation there, we end up with our final answer, writing it in terms of v1, and it's going to be h plus v2 ms all over ms. Now you cannot cancel the m's and the s's because of this addition right here. Okay, it's a part of one term, not a part of both terms on the top. So although it looks like a mess, we have solved a literal equation in terms of one of the variables. So thanks for watching, and again, take a look at my contact information and appreciate a call or filling out a web form. I really appreciate my viewers of my videos. Take care. Have a good day. All right, there you have it. I invite you to go to my website now, MathPowerLine.com, or email me or give me a call. The way I work best with students is live online in my classroom. So if I can help you in any way, answer some specific questions, the first lesson with me is free as I show you how everything works. All right, study hard and take care.